I was describing the other day that relationships to me are subservient to the Holy Spirit, obviously, because the Holy Spirit is guiding the use of all symbols to free the mind and to use the mind in the most optimal way, which is basically as answer to the question, what serves the whole sonship, or what serves the whole universe. And as I was sharing the other day when Nada approached me, I think it was the first day, you came up and just said, why would you choose a special relationship? And so we talked for about 5 or 10 minutes about this idea that when you're flowing in purpose, you just accept what is given. And I would say that my spiritual journey started around the mid-1980s, and then the course came in '86, and then the travels and living in divine providence and not having a job in the world, so to speak, but being employed by the Holy Spirit, so to speak, started in 1991. And basically, the boss is the boss, and I just get to receive what is given on a moment-by-moment basis. Even it's not like I get a long-range plan and so forth. Helen and I are being used in that way, and it is a symbol. I mean, the symbol of a man and a woman is a symbol among symbols that gets used, and we're teaching about forgiveness, and so forgiveness really means that you have to relinquish all attempts at specialness, singling out a special. I mean, it's one thing to be guided to have a partner. Certainly, Raj and Suze were guided together, and we've heard their stories of how they came together, and the 100-day test, and many ways that they've been used together, and that's been a symbol that the Holy Spirit has used quite a lot. For me, there's a sense of detachment with the whole idea of personhood and use of symbols. When I was talking to Nada, I was saying that really it truly for me has been over the years what serves the whole, and there's not been an attachment to particular forms. And that actually was the line, because Les brought up the question about, about manifesting, and while we believe we're human beings and asking for things. And there was a line in the Beyond All Idols section in the Course in Miracles that says, when you decide upon the form of what you want, you lose the understanding of its purpose. In other words, as soon as we take our divine will, which is for universal happiness, and we objectify it, and we shrink it down to a person, or a place, or a child, or an animal, or a diamond ring, or a sports team, or anything, as soon as we say, I am, and we identify with the name, even the name, biological name that was given us, that's where the specialness enters. It's not so much in the objects or the words, but it's the identification. When we shrink down our vastness into this tiny little object. And for years, what has come to me over and over is love has no object. That love is just a state of mind. It is agape, it's universal. It radiates and extends towards everyone and everything in its divine nature, its true nature, but it doesn't objectify. So even in the Gospels, when in the Gospel of John it says, and describes John as the one whom Jesus loved. The one whom Jesus loved. Well, I'm sure they were very affectionate. I have a feeling from the Gospels that John was very comfortable with Jesus, and he would lay his head on Jesus' lap even while Jesus would be in public, so people could assume that John was the one whom Jesus loved. But that didn't necessarily imply that the love was limited to John, because that would be everything against the teachings that we know from Jeshua. So for me, it has gotten to a point where it's very much a sense of purpose. And I have translators, people like Raj and Suze, like Rob, Les and Tina, people down here, Tia and Mike, we've stayed with them. This collaborative effort, even to go on a tour, is a huge collaborative effort of many that are all working together to serve the one. But I don't really see my identity is frozen down kind of in a static way of being coupled off. Now, it may play out that way, just like with Jesus and the apostles. You know, it played out in the script that Jesus had 12 apostles. So it's even the parts of the Bible that were written out of the Bible, there was a lot of women involved in Jesus' ministry that were just kind of written out. But we could say that there was roughly 70 women that were deeply involved in Jesus' ministry that were written out of the Bible, 12 apostles. Mary Magdalene, you know, had a very significant role, and that was completely minimized, you know, as her being a prostitute and so forth. And certainly the Catholic Church didn't want to emphasize, they emphasized Mother Mary. Another Mary got raised up in their theology. But that was very much part of the script too. There was 12 apostles, not 13 or 11. You know, if you tried to draw on the form, you know, and say, hey, Jesus, what's the deal? 12 men. Couldn't you then, you know, Barack Obama could pick a more equally representative in terms of the genders. You know, why not have 6 men and 6 women if you're here to teach universal love or this or that? And why 12? Why stop there? There probably was some other good candidates on the planet that could have volunteered, but there was 12. So we can't infer specialness from form. Specialness is a lens that looks through ego's lens and judges and sees judgments in the world, and therefore you can have specialness with a candy bar. You can have specialness with a person, a place, an event.
Your breath as well.
Yeah. You can have anything you can imagine. You could have specialness with, and it's because what Jesus says in the Beyond All Idols section, that you see your will in the form, and therefore, in quantum physics terms, you just have taken a part of the whole, and you've called it important or reality. When in reality is much further beyond the parts, or the assembling of parts. You know, it's just so vast that you try to shrink your universal will down into a form, and then you lose the purpose whenever you do that. So when we say, I love you, and we mean it in a very personal way, it's just that we're losing the awareness of the love. I love my Volvo. I love my sports team, or my husband, my wife, my child. It's the same objectification that really kind of shrinks it down. And the purpose of this world, there is only one purpose, and that's forgiveness. And that's why we're training our mind to learn that experience as Jesus and the Holy Spirit teach us that. And as soon as we decide upon the form that we want, when we say, I want it thus, then we have denied the awareness of forgiveness. We have picked a little person or scenario out of all the potentials that are there and said, well, this is important to me. And the Holy Spirit's like, choose again, my beloved. Child will try.
Hand on the rope.
Yes, roll it again.
What's underneath that is like, don't you go being intimate with anybody else, because your intimacy belongs to me. And burning through, opening up, to truly open up, to let go of that and say, all that has to absolutely go now. We've got to look at the coupling, the sneaky little ways that you check in on each other to help make the other one more dependent. I mean, Raj can share about this too, but it's like looking at that patterning. And one of the things that I've learned is that there are definite feeling states to egoic satisfaction and feeling like the Christ.